Hi, and welcome to Origin of Concepts. In this episode, we will have a little talk about this guy up here, Harpocrates from ancient Egypt, and also known from the early Greek period. Harpocrates meaning Horus the Child. The human Horus is an ancient Greek form of the ancient Egyptian deity Harpocrates, the human son of Isis and Osiris, not to be confused with the Horus falcon. That's very important because I did that myself many years ago. Horus's most famous story involves his long battle to avenge his father's Osiris murder by his uncle Set to obtain the throne of Egypt. Harpocrates, or Harpocrates, is famous for his side lock of youth and the finger pointing to his mouth. The origin of the finger in front of the mouth gesture, the shh, shut up, child. He was the protector of children and childhood and the womb or the pregnant mother or pregnant mothers. And every aspect of the Horus Child is made with inspiration from the Milky Way Center. So let's take a look at the Milky Way here. Harpocrates is put together by various aspects of the Milky Way Center. And let me outline the main features here. Because his head is the disc here. And the striped shadow represents his physical body, so to speak, the body of the child or the newborn flesh, the young flesh. And the reason why is, of course, that the disc light here is like the manifestation of spirit, and it flows into the physical world here, into the body, into the flesh. So that's the manifested young light, the child. And we also know this story from other myth. So this is the main aspects we have to concentrate around. He wears the peasant crown, the double crown of Egypt, visualized by the striped and silvery shadow. And let me outline it for you here. Because the top of the crown is, of course, the silvery shadow here. The bowling pin hat. And it sits in the desert, the red crown, which is basically this crown here. All the red light, so to speak, and follow the outline of the striped shadow here. So here we got his crown. And then he got, if you want to know more about the crowns of Egypt, I made a video about the three most famous, the desert and peasant, and the headjet, the bowling pin hat. So you can go watch that video. And then he got the famous side lock, and here you got the head of Harpocrates. And his side lock is, of course, the striped shadow here. And you can see it went sideways. Or that way, so here you got his side lock. And this is all the side locks used there in the entire Egypt mythology. So every time you see it, you know where they got it from. And the striped shadow is also his finger in front of the mouth. But I have to outline it little different. So let's start with the mouth. Let's outline the shadows here. Let's do it like this. Yeah, that's the mouth. And then we got the finger here. Just outline the stripe shadow. And this is the finger. And let me put a nail here just to illustrate. So here you see the finger inside or in front of the mouth. And I got a little note for that because the finger symbolizes a real child's finger in their mouth, because that represents youth. But of course they have to mirror it in the Milky Way center too, so it's like the divine finger in front of the mouth, so to speak. All right. And this is, by the way, a very famous symbol. We use it today like shh. But I'll on the run here, I'll go deeper into how the Greek interpreted. In some depictions, Harpocrates also holding a cornucopia. And let me show you the cornucopia, because that's a very famous symbol in Greek mythology too. The cornucopia is like, the disc is the top of the cornucopia, and then the horn is the striped shadow here, which is also the crescent horn. So here you got the cornucopia. And the stripes here is of course what's make up the horn. And this is, by the way, also the womb of the mother. So that's why he's protecting wombs. And all the fruits coming out of the cornucopia is of course the golden disc light. So this is all the fruits coming out to feed the gods or whatever. So here you got the cornucopia. And what else do we got here? He was the protector of children, childhood, and the womb, pregnant mothers. So let me illustrate that for you. First of all, let me find a green color here. All the children is represented by the stripes here in the stripe shadow. And the womb of the mother is also the striped shadow, the crescent. And let me outline it for you here, because here we got the crescent. And here we got the mother figure. The silvery shadow is the mother figure in Egypt mythology. And she always stands with cross-legged here, or sitting on the throne or whatever. And this is the belly button. So here you see the womb of the mother with Harpocrates and the children inside, so to speak. And the womb, or this crescent, has fatally been misinterpreted or interpreted as the moon. And it started and it has been ever since, and that's the reason why many myths never have been solved, because the so-called experts, have never digged into this and believe it was the moon, the crescent of the moon in the sky. But it was never the moon. It was this crescent here, this silver crescent in the Milky Way center. All right, what else do we got here? Isis gave birth to Horus in the papyrus swamp on the floating island Shemis in the Nile Delta. And Isis is also the female shape here, the silvery shadow sitting on her throne with the Horus Child. And the papyrus swamp, yeah, I already draw it because that's the green lines here. The striped shadow is the Nile River in the sky, and the stripes is the papyrus. And the Nile Delta is when the two rivers meet each other here. The striped shadow is, and the silvery shadow is the two rivers, and they are, of course, meeting here in the delta in the golden disk light. Manifested spirit. And then we got Isis nursing the Horus Child on her lip. And yeah, it's the same picture. Maybe I could outline, because Horus is like the entire striped shadow here with the head here. And now he's sitting on her mother's knee, or Isis is nursing Horus. And the lip is, of course, the silver shadow here with the female posture. And, it's also the posture, so it looks like Isis is sitting on a throne. The throne itself is also the Milky Way center. So, but you can go watch my throne video to learn more about that. And what else do we got here? Yes, and then she's nursing Horus with her breast. And let me remove some of this here, because we know where Isis is now. It's the silvery shadow here. Let me remake it just to give you an idea. And then she gave Horus some breast. And the entire Milky Way center here is the big breast. And in the middle we got the disc here, which is the nipple, so to speak. And the child is sucking. And we of course also got the milk here inside the breast. So the Milky Way center is the giant breast, for breastfeeding children. So the mother, this is the divine image of the mother nursing the child. And let's see here. Yes, that's all you need to know about that. Harpocrates was born premature, which resulted in him being lame or weak in his lower limbs. And of course he did, because this is the lower part of Horus, so to speak. And this is this shadow here always represent the bent knee, or the halting leg, He's depicted with sometimes is depicted with his knees bent, so he looks like lame or weak in his legs. So that's the reason. And the Horus Child was often depicted on protective sibi. That's the magical steel from Egypt, standing on crocodiles and grasping snakes or scorpions. So let's take a look at that. First of all, he's standing on crocodiles. And let me use a green color here for the crocodile. The crocodile is also the striped shadow here. And it's split up here because that's the crocodile mouth. So here you got the crocodile. And that's why he's standing on crocodiles. And every time you see, a statue or a papyrus or anything with any deity standing, then you must look at the great foot here in the Milky Way center. Because if you follow the shadows here, this is the toe, you will get the great foot in the Milky Way center. And that foot has been used in so many myths around the world. This is also Jesus walking on water, or Greek gods stamping on scorpions, so on and so forth. So here we got the standing on crocodiles. But there's more. Let me see here. Because he is also, he got a serpent in his hand and scorpions. And the serpent is, of course, the striped shadow here. It's always the serpent, or the serpents. It can either be one serpent, or it could be many small serpents. So here Harpocrates is holding the serpents. And he also holding scorpions. And the scorpion is also the striped shadow. And let me outline it for you here. And now I have to look. Here we got one claw here. And the other claw is here. And then we just have to follow the outlines here. And here's the other one. And it's the head. And then we follow the crescent of the dark striped shadow here. And this is the tail of the scorpion. And here we got the rest of the body. And then we just have to add some legs. So here you got the scorpion. And like this. So here you got the scorpion. And this is every time, no matter where in the world you read about a myth with scorpions, that's it, that's the scorpion. So everybody saw that scorpion in ancient times. All right, let's move on here. In Greek Roman traditions, Harpocrates was symbolized by a rose, leading to the phrase sub rosa, under the rose, meaning to keep a conversation secret. Now we go into the Greek Roman area, and the symbolic of Harpocrates was like misunderstood. So now he get a new meaning. Now he's not longer the child with the finger in the mouth, and representing a mother. Now he becomes something else. But let me read on here. Now he is symbolized by the rose. And the rose is basically the Milky Way center here. The red light is the rose. And the rose also got a branch and thorns. The striped shadow here is the thorns on the rose, always. So here you see the first symbolic use of the rose regarding to Harpocrates. And this is, by the way, also the rose used in basically every single myth around the world. So when you see a rose, you know where it comes from. The divine rose. Okay. Let me see here. Isis finds her son Horus weakened or dead after being stung by a scorpion while hiding in the papyrus marshes of the Nile Delta. And I don't think I need to draw that perfect again, but we know where to find the papyrus. We got the Nile Delta here, running into the disk light. And we of course got the scorpion here. Here we got the scorpion. So here we got, and we also got the mother here. So here you got the entire story in those two shadows. Okay. Harpocrates, or Horus, catches, he got a fight with Set, and he catches Set's semen in his hand and throw it into the river. That's a very famous tale from the ancient Egypt texts. And first of all, let's find the semen, because the semen is the white area here above the disc. This is always the semen. And then Horus, you have to write this text or read this text pretty literally, because he holds the semen in his hand, and the most used hand in Egypt mythology is the Milky Way center, because that's the hand here, and it has a very specific shape. Also used when you see the hands from sideways, and it's also used on the at the spikes from the ankh on the 18 disc and a lot of other places. But here you see Horus holding the seed in his hand, and then he threw it into the Nile River, and the Nile River is of course the striped shadow here. So that's where they get it from. And now let me go a little bit deeper into the contendings of Horus and Set. That's the fight here between Horus and Set. We already started, but here comes some more. Horus retaliates against Set's sexual assault by tricking him into consuming his semen on salad. Yeah, it sounds crazy. But he put his semen on the salad, and then Set will eat it because he loves salad. And first of all, Set swallowing the semen of Horus is of course the great Milky Way center here, because this is the mouth of Set here, and inside the mouth we got the semen here. So here is swallowing it, and the semen is the white area here above the disc. And then we got the salad, because the striped shadow is also split up into three pair of twins. So this is the salad heads here, which Horus has put the semen so Set can swallow it. And when you read the ancient Egypt text, there's always connected with vegetables, garlic, salad, and 2 twists of this and 2 twists of that, or 3 part of this, and and it's all vegetables you can find in the Milky Way center. So that's I'll make a video about the onion, the garlic, regarding to Egyptology. That's pretty amazing, because it's also here in the Milky Way. Okay, so now we got Set eating salad with semen. And what did I note here? The divine semen manifests, of course. It's because the semen manifests on Set's head as a golden disc on his forehead. So let's find that. Because we already know that this is the golden disc, the 18th disc, or the golden disc in the Egypt mythology, which the experts interpret as the physical sun, but it has nothing to do with the physical sun. It's the manifested spirit light. And here you see the semen converting into the disc on the head of Set. And let me try to outline Set here just for a second. Because Set is the opposite of Horus in the Milky Way, so you have to mirror it to see Set. But I'll try here. Here we got like Set's underpart and his nose here. And then the two shadows here is like the two horns of Set. So this is Set, upside down. And right there in the middle of his forehead, you got the semen and the golden disc. And just to make the image of Horus, is sitting right here. Horus is the eagle. And they are fighting here. So here you got Horus and Set fighting. Set is basically, this is the main image of Set, but Set can take many forms. He can also be like a small dog-like creature, the Set animal. And he got a lot of features like a fork split tail, and he could also be, wow, balloons. And he can also be, his story can also be told through the striped shadow alone. So it depends on the texture. But Set he's one of the oldest deities based on the dark aspect of the Milky Way center. Okay, I'll make Set video coming up soon. So look forward to that. And Horus steals Set's testicle, and Set injures Horus's eye. So Horus is stealing the testicle of Set, which is of course, let me find the great color here. This entire area here is the testicle of Set. And this is also the testicle of Uranus in Greek mythology. It's the same story, adopted from Egypt. And let me see here. Yeah, and this is also this is the testicle of Set, and then we got the eye of Horus, which is, let me draw it a little different here, because this is the eye of Horus here, and we could outline then you got it like this, and we could outline the shadows down here too. But this is the eye of Horus. And the text writes that because Horus is stealing the testicle of Set, from Set, make damage to the eye of Horus, or he injure it. And of course you do, because the striped shadow here is like the injuring of the eye. You prick it. So here you got this story. And afterwards, the eye of Horus is repaired by Thoth. And Thoth is also based on the Milky Way center. I'll make a video about Thoth. But Thoth got a pen, a writing pen. But it's a magic pen, and that pen can repair the eye of Horus. So here you got the magic pen of Thoth, his writing pen or his tool. So now it's repairing the eye instead of injure it. All right. Harpocrates, the Horus Child, sitting atop the blue lotus flower. Who was the first plant to rise from the primordial waters in Egypt creation stories? And let's draw that blue lotus flower. Let me use the blue color, of course. Because the blue lotus is the Milky Way center, and the blue color is because of this area, because that's the Azure or Azura blue color in the Milky Way center. That's why you got all this this term Azura. It comes from here. This is the color from the Milky Way center above the disk, the blue color here. So that gives the color to the lotus. And the petals on the blue lotus is the 3 dark shadows here. Let me see if I can, let me try to outline it here. So this is the middle of the flower, of course. And then we got the leaves. Here we got 1 leaf. And here we got another leaf. And here we got a 3rd leaf, so to speak. So this is the lotus flower. And the petals, the inner flower, the stamens, is visualized by the tentacles, is visualized by the striped shadow here. And what the Egyptians did was they visualized this striped shadow was wrapped around the disc light. Because it's a crescent. So it's like the crown inside the lotus flower. So it should be around here, like in the real lotus flower. But that's the way they... and of course the lotus flower is growing in the Nile River here. The striped shadow too. So that's why it has to be... Harpocrates, was or Horus was inside the lotus flower, the blue lotus. Okay, I think that's now you understand the foundation part of the Harpocrates, and then let's go to the misinterpretations, because that's what we know today. Because it's commonly believed that Harpocrates represents the newborn sun, the physical sun, which in my opinion is a fatal mistake. Harpocrates represents the newborn disk light here. This is what he's representing, not the physical sun, the newborn disk light. Which is manifested spirit in the child. The light is running into the flesh of the child here. This was also used to invent the newborn Christ, the light of the world in the Bible myth. Ancient Egypt and Greece did not worship the physical sun or any kind of sun worship. They used the golden disk light, as a tool for understanding cosmos. And the light from the disk was the manifested spirit, which flow into the physical world or the mortal world or into the flesh, so humans could obtain spirit. Okay. And even Plutarch is misinterpreted because in his Isis and Osiris writings, which is a part of his collection of essays known as the Moralia, he states that Harpocrates was born around the time of the winter solstice. Aha. And the common belief is that he wrote that he was born every morning, and he was the morning sun every morning. But that's not what Plutarch is writing. He writes that he is born around winter solstice, not on winter solstice, but around winter solstice. And what happens, a couple of days after winter solstice? It's the rebirth of the disk light in the annual cycle of the Milky Way center. Just a couple of days later than winter solstice. And we also know it in the Western world as Christmas. Ta-da! So we are not celebrating the ascending sun from winter solstice. We are celebrating that the disk light comes back after it has been hid behind the sun for a couple of months since the autumn. And it comes back on December 25th. And maybe another date, in ancient Egypt. But all my measurements is made like 2500 BC. So, yeah, it match up perfect. It comes like 2 or 3 days after the sun. Then we got the disk light, the divine sun. Okay. And the Greek-Roman interpretation is a whole different thing, because they misunderstood the finger gesture, interpreting it as a shh, like a gesture of silence. And therefore Harpocrates became known as the god of silence in the Greek-Roman period. Secrets and confidentiality, secrecy. And the reason why we in modern world say shh and put a finger in front of our mouth. But when we talk about secrets and secrecy, it was not like I'm a member of Illuminati and we want to take over the world. And this is our sign. Shh, don't tell anyone. It's not how it works. It works that way, that this gesture also became a symbol of one's higher self or wisdom. As like keep quiet and listen, or think before you speak, or put your mind before action. So when you do this, it's just a sign of wisdom. Think before you speak, or just shut up and listen. You can speak when you got old and wise, and use your life to listen to what all the other wise people have to say to you. Oh, yeah. I must have turned on my effects here. But well. Okay, so now you know exactly what the gesture means. And I know that you sometimes see famous people making the shh gesture. So now you know it's a sign of wisdom, and not because they are a member of a secret club conspiring against you or others. It's simply a sign of spirit and wisdom. And what else can I tell here? That's all. Now you know everything about Harpocrates from ancient Egypt. So thank you so much for tuning in and watching this video. And until my next video, take care. See ya. Bye.